No.
So were you off-duty just shopping, or were you doing off-duty security?
No, I was just off duty, off my normal shift, in plain clothes, just doing shopping like anybody else, and was, with everything else going on, was hoping just to have a quick in and out visit to Hy-Vee 108th and Q.
Were you buying toilet paper?
I was not buying toilet paper. I did go down. I actually picked up some bagels for my boys, and I did make it pass down the cleaning products aisle to make sure, just to see if there were any Clorox wipes, and of course there weren't. And then I went over to the liquor store side where I was going to go check out over there. And basically what happened is I got over to the liquor store side, and there were two females working at the counter there, and they were just staring intently out the door towards the parking lot, and they really didn't even acknowledge my presence. So I was kind of like, there's something's up, because this is kind of weird behavior. And then one of them said, I think he's shooting. And then the other one goes, he's shooting, and they started yelling. And so I set my stuff down, and I went back through the store over towards the main entrances. And when I got to the west entrance, the main entrance on the west side, I saw a man kind of crouched down behind a display of there's a bunch of bottled water. And at the time, I didn't know who the suspect was, because I just heard the shots and I hadn't actually seen the suspect yet. So I kind of came up behind that person and made sure they weren't armed, and that ended up being Tom, the witness that ends up tackling the guy initially. And I asked him where the suspect was, and he said it's that guy down there. And by that point, the suspect was walking back towards us. He was by the checkout aisles, but he was on the side closer to like the rows of groceries. So he was on the side that the customers would enter from. And he was just kind of casually walking. He stood out to me because there were people still trying to flee the store, and he was just very casually and kind of emotionless in his demeanor, and he was walking back towards us and looking down each checkout aisle as he was coming back towards me. And then once he got to about 10 yards away, I was behind a display of Gatorade that was next to the water. I had a weapon with me. I had a Glock 43X with me. I drew my weapon and stepped out and leveled my weapon at him and yelled at him, and almost simultaneously, that's when Tom jumped out and tackled the guy. And the suspect, he initially put the gun to his own head, and as I'm running up to help them, I don't know why he didn't shoot himself, or if the gun malfunctioned, or if he changed his mind or what, I don't know. But he brought the gun back down in front of him, and I reached over with my left hand and grabbed the gun, and he was struggling with us, and I just tried to keep it pointed away from us, and he wouldn't let go of it. So I had my gun in my right hand, and I just started striking him across the top of the head with the steel part of my Glock. And after 3 or 4 hits, he let go of the gun, and I was able to secure that. And then we rolled him onto his stomach, and he was still kind of struggling with us, so we just kept him pinned down. And there was another citizen there. We asked to call 911, and after a few minutes, Officer Dave Staskowitz, he lives just a few blocks away, he had heard the shots. He was outside and heard the shots and came running over. Then he took possession of the gun for me so we could better secure the suspect. And then finally, the first on-duty person was a Douglas County deputy that showed up, and we were able to handcuff the suspect at that point.
What happened to your arm?
I'm really not sure. I think just in the effort to secure the gun, I had a real tight grip on the suspect's gun with this hand, and just kind of when we're wrestling with him and rolling around, I think I just kind of rolled it. I ended up breaking my, I think they call it the metacarpal. Basically, they call it boxer's fracture, right behind my pinky finger.
That's the hand you were holding on to the gun.
Yeah, this is the hand I was holding onto his gun with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When Tom came out and tackled him,
Mhm.
did that surprise you? Had you guys coordinated that?
No, it did surprise me because I was probably a fraction of a second from shooting the guy, to be honest with you, and I'm glad I hadn't pulled the trigger right then with Tom jumping out like that. I mean, what he did was truly selfless and heroic. You're talking about a guy that has no weapon. He was just him, and he's just a guy that felt that something had to be done right then to stop this, and he took action. So, I mean, the guy's a hero in my mind because he didn't think about himself. He just went for it and dove on the guy. And fortunately, we were able to secure the gun at that point.
How far away were you from the suspect at that point?
Probably about 10 yards.
We heard that he may have been wearing all black and hood. Is that, I mean, did he come in looking like he had ill intentions?
Well, he did have all black on. He had a black jacket, black pants, black boots. I mean, I guess that's, I hate to say stereotypical look of some of these shooters that go on active shooter killing sprees. But I mean, like I said, the thing that stood out to me was just how casual he was walking. I mean, everybody else is running around. He stood out because he was pretty tall, but just emotionless in his face. When he got closer, I could see the gun in his right hand. So it was pretty clear to me I had the right guy at that point.
What was the motive? Any idea?
They're still working on that.
Did he say
I think we'll
anything
know.
That gave you a sense of what he was up to?
No, he didn't. The only thing he said to us is, and I don't remember what Tom said to him. Tom said something to him, and the guy said, "You ain't no effing hero." And that was it. Otherwise, he wouldn't really talk to us. We'd asked him a couple questions, and he wouldn't speak.
Do you think he wanted to be shot?
I don't know. Maybe in hindsight, it seems like that, just the way he shot at things in the store and bypassed some people. So, I mean, I don't really know, but then again, I don't know why he didn't pull the trigger on himself when he had the chance either.
So where was he holding the gun by the time you saw him?
He had it in his right hand and was just carrying it down, just pointing straight down at the floor, just kind of carrying it casually.
They said something about him shooting a monitor in the store.
Mhm.
Did you see him fire any shots in the?
No, I heard the shots. I was still on the west end of the store in the liquor department coming back when I heard the shots, so I didn't actually see him fire. So that's why initially I wasn't sure who the suspect was until Tom kind of pointed him out.
Did you get down behind the Gatorade to figure out where the shooter was and exactly what was going on?
Right, yeah. Well, because one, I'm in plain clothes, so I didn't want to get shot by the suspect or any officers responding or anything like that until I knew, I kind of had to figure out what was going on before started taking some action. So, I mean, like I said, it was pretty obvious to me who it was once I saw his demeanor, and then he got close enough that I could see the gun in his hand.
Tom didn't know you were a cop, though, did he?
No, I don't think so. Not at that point, he didn't.
So he tackled him, and then was the guy on his back?
Well, he kind of like started to go down, and then he ended up kind of like in a seated position, like on his butt with his back towards me, and that's when he put the gun up to his head. And then he brought it back down in front of him, and that's when I was able to grab the gun and get it away from him.
And the store had to be busy at this time at 6:30 at night, wasn't it?
Especially with all the social distancing stuff going on, it was pretty busy for kind of the atmosphere that we're in. But
So he had lots of opportunity if he wanted to go after, because any idea why he was just shooting windows going in?
I don't. I mean, and that's something that we'll have to find out through our investigation. I mean, obviously, he had the opportunity to shoot people in the drive-through. You know, they're basically trapped in their cars. But he just kind of kept moving through the store.
So he didn't say anything to you except for you ain't no effing hero.
Right.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything to him at that point.
Did you yell at him to drop the gun or give me the gun?
I did before right at the same time that Tom tackled him. It was almost simultaneous because I had pointed my weapon at him, yelled at him, and right then that's when Tom sprung out and tackled him.
Clearly
Did
you
say-
got hurt, but, you know, how does it feel knowing that nobody else got hurt?
Well, that was the main thing. I was really concerned that we might have had customers down, you know, inside the store. So there was another citizen, and I believe he was actually even a CCW holder that came in the store and kind of ushered some people out. And then he came back up to us and asked if we needed help. And I said, hey, just make sure there's no citizens down on that, would have been like the east end of the store, where I kind of first saw the guy walking back towards us, because I just want to make sure we didn't have a bunch of people down.
So Chief, probably a lot of people imagine, what would I do in an active shooter situation? Now, and you obviously have the training for that.
Right.
So how do you go from shopping mode to, all right, I got to deal with this situation?
Well, I mean, it's something that we always prepare for. We train our officers in active shooter response in a number of tactical type situations. We encourage our officers to carry off duty in case something like this happens, because you just don't know when something like this happens. For me personally, this is the second active shooter I've been involved in. I was involved in Von Mar several years ago, so it's always something that's on my mind, and I've definitely thought about it a lot lately, just because with all the, I mean, a lot of people are very anxious and uncertain, and that kind of thing kind of builds up, and so it is a concern among law enforcement, just with how everything is going in society right now. People may react irrationally, like in this case, and I don't know that this caused this, but it's definitely something that we are on heightened alert for.
I forget, Scott, so were you one of them searching at Von Mar that got there early enough to try to clear the place?
Right, I was one of the first four that kind of searched the whole Von Mar store.
Because it was like Rob Jones was there, I think.
Right,
and then-
he was up there. We didn't know he was up on the third floor. So yeah, he was the very first person to go up there. And actually Rob showed up last night. Yeah, so it was kind of a reunion of Von Mar people, because Dave Saskowitz was with me doing the search at Von Mar, and he lived down the street and showed up, and then Rob was working last night, and
Eerie.
it was, yeah.
So Rob was working last night and came.
Yeah, no, he came and he was in uniform with his rifle and showed up at the scene a few minutes after everything kind of happened.
What did you say to Tom, the civilian that got involved?
We just kind of gave each other knuckles and said, nice job, and the detectives needed to speak to him, so they kind of whisked him away, and I haven't had a chance to really speak to him a lot and thank him for what he did. I mean, the guy's a true hero. I mean, like I said, he had no weapons or really anything other than his hands to defend himself with, and he's not a big guy. He's just a guy that saw some evil unfolding and felt like he had to do something right now, and he did it.
When did your arm start hurting?
After the adrenaline wore off, about an hour later, it started swelling up and throbbing pretty good. So, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I actually snapped it, but